What is going on, ladies and germs? It is your boy Gob. It's been a hot minute since I've made a YouTube video where I've kind of been commentating, and not just playing COD. Um, I hope you guys are looking forward to some more COD videos because I'm looking forward to play some MW3. That shit's gonna be so fun. Um, it kind of playing the beta for that game and kind of like reignited my passion for the game a little bit. I mean, it never really left, but I mean, like, I don't know. It's a pretty decent game. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that when the game comes out. Until then, though, I kind of want to talk about some of the older Call of Duties a little bit. You know, I thought maybe I could put together a little tier list for today's video. One of many, probably, but today we're going to be focusing on a tier list of the top games, ranking them from, best to worst, worst to best, however you want to put it. But we're gonna start it off. We're gonna go from the bottom to the top. So let's bring up let's bring up the little tier list maker here, and let's get this shit started. So before we do actually get started, we have COD 1 through 3 on this list, but I don't really have memories like that for those games. I like touched COD 3. I played that for a little bit, maybe like a couple times whenever I was super young, but I don't really have memories like that. But we're going to start things off. We're going to put COD 4 at the B tier on this tier list. You know, I might get some shade thrown at me for that, because COD 4 is kind of what really started it all for Call of Duty. COD 4 is like the bones of what you will see for every single COD game to come after that. It's the first COD game to introduce the polished multiplayer along with like kill streaks and perks and whatnot. It was the first game to really do that and really put emphasis on it and like really put more emphasis on the multiplayer side of things. And for that, it deserves a lot of respect. It deserves all the respect that it gets. But for me, I didn't play that game in its prime. I should start off by saying that. So I guess I may have some bias towards that, but it's my COD list. It's how I feel about each game, and I feel like B tier is a fair spot for it. The COD games that I have played, I mean, I've played COD 4, but I just haven't played it in its prime. The COD games that I have played in its prime, I feel like are better than COD 4, but I wasn't there for its prime, so I don't have the nostalgia glasses for it in a sense, but I can see why people love the game. I can see why people talk about it so highly, but for me, I feel like it just sits in the middle ground on the B tier. The next game we do have on our list is Call of Duty World at War, a classic Treyarch game, one of the best games of all time, and I'm gonna have to put that COD on A tier. A lot of people, this is another thing that would give me some shade. Some people would put COD Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 above Call of Duty World at War. But I don't know. To me, I just feel like it's a better COD, and I'm gonna tell you why. So COD World at War, it's basically to me a polished version of COD 4. And I mean, COD 4 is a polished version of CODs beforehand, but like with a yearly installment of franchise, you would expect that the game gets better every year. And I mean, that's kind of what was happening at the time to me. So, like, with World at War, it's another game I didn't play in its prime. I played it a lot more than COD 4, though. But to my understanding, Call of Duty World at War is kind of a copy and paste of Modern Warfare, which, I mean, like, that's not the greatest thing in the entire world. It's kind of like a reskin of Modern Warfare, if you will. Because, it just has, like, all the same exact bones and everything, and kind of, like, the same UI and same HUDs and stuff like that. So it's basically the same game. So like I wouldn't rank them too far apart from each other. Like at this point, it comes down to like a vibe sense of things, and also like not even just like on a multiplayer standpoint on like all three modes. I would rank the campaign, the multiplayer, and the zombies all higher than the three modes across COD 4. That's just the way that I feel about it. Like when it comes down to things, I'm a big fan of zombies over Spec Ops. So when it comes down to ranking all three modes against each other, zombies is gonna win every single time in that category. But COD 4 to me, it's iconic. Iconic sounds, iconic maps, iconic guns, iconic characters, iconic storytelling. Like the whole thing just has iconic written all over it. But it's not even the most iconic of the entire series. So for me, I'm gonna have to put Call of Duty World at War at the A tier, and I feel like that's a pretty good spot for it. Coming up next, we have the critically acclaimed Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 2 from 2009. So that's immediately an S tier Call of Duty. This Call of Duty is the next game that polishes the previous title, and this was the game that introduced, like, I don't know, kind of like the cherry on top for everything. Like, this is the game that first introduced all of, like, the kill streaks. COD 4 only had, like, a set amount of kill streaks. I can't remember if World at War did. Like, that was, like, that was a game I didn't play in its prime. And I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but MW2 was also a game I didn't play in its prime, but it's a game I played a lot of. Like, when it comes to going back and playing a Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 is the one that I played the most. I started playing COD with Black Ops 1, so we are getting there. But with MW2, this game was so much fun, even whenever I wasn't playing it during its prime. I think whenever I did go back and play it, it was like near the end of Black Ops 1's life cycle, or like the start of MW3's life cycle. But MW2 was such a fun game with all three of its modes: campaign, multiplayer, and Spec Ops. So, like, even I was playing some Spec Ops here and there with my friends. It wasn't like something I was doing a lot, but, like, I mean, even my friends and I, we weren't playing a lot of MW2 at the time because, like, I didn't have a lot of friends that played COD. But one of the first friends I did meet, we would go back and we would play some MW2. And by this time, MW2 on the PS3 was, like, hacked to oblivion. This game, like, it was unplayable unless you were modding too. So me and my friend were in, like, 4th grade. We're going into multiplayer lobbies every day after school. Like, hey man, can you give us UAV, like constant UAV and aimbot? So we're just going around asking these dudes all day. And sometimes people would be nice enough to give it to you. I mean, back in the day, there was this thing called infection lobbies. You just had to be in the game, and you'd leave the game with a mod menu or just, like, whatever hacks the person gave to you, like Prestige Master, like everything unlocked. But, like, this game also had super iconic emblems and calling cards, and that's, like, one thing that I could praise Infinity Ward for, especially with their old games. Like, the MW2 and MW3 calling cards and emblems were so good, and I just wish that they could make those same types of emblems and calling cards today. Like, those things just hit so much more different, and, like, the game, or what, the gunplay with, like, the snipers and everything, like, it was such an iconic time for FaZe Clan and trick shotting and just, like, sniping montages and just, like, YouTube. And, like, at that time period, there's so much nostalgia built within this game. It was honestly a kickstart for so many things, and I feel like this is where the love for this game, like, really started to initially grow and just explode. And I wish I was there for the prime of this game. I wish I was there when everyone was playing it and it was, like, the new hot thing. But I was just a little late to the party. I'm still happy with where I am and how I started playing the game and whatnot. But MW2 is definitely a fun COD. It deserves the S tier for sure. The first game in our S tier. So, yeah, like, you can't speak bad about MW2. It's such a classic Call of Duty. And coming up next, we have Black Ops 1, and for me, that's an immediate God tier. This is the Call of Duty that started it all for me. Like, I was a gamer before Black Ops 1, but, like, I wasn't a gamer until I played Black Ops 1. Like, I was playing that all day, every day, from the moment I set my eyes on that. That was the game that started my obsession and my passion with Call of Duty. Like, there was just nothing like it. And I don't know if it's, like, a bias type thing. I don't know if it's like this with everyone. I don't know if it's just a thing where everyone who, whatever their first Call of Duty was, that's their favorite COD. I feel like it might be like that, especially in some cases at least. But, like, to me, Black Ops 1 is the best Call of Duty. It is the definitive Call of Duty for me. And I could see why people would rank MW2 higher. You know, I feel like that's like the common thing is that like everyone's favorite COD is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2009. But for me, it's Call of Duty Black Ops. That's my Roman Empire Call of Duty Black Ops 1 with the campaign, the zombies, the multiplayer. I feel like everything in this game was just perfected to me. Like I loved the maps, I loved all the DLC. Like there was not a single thing that I didn't like about this Call of Duty. Coming up next on our list is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 from 2011, and for me that is another immediate god tier game. You know, like a lot of people will probably say that MW2 is better than MW3, which I mean I could understand, but I feel like it comes down to me not playing MW2 2009 in its prime, but with MW3 in its prime, that game was a lot of fun to me, dude. Like there's something about the way that Infinity Ward games felt. Like they were a lot more like kind of loose and stylistic than rather than like Treyarch's games where they kind of felt more like compound and like I don't know stiffer. Like the way that the way that it felt, I almost said the way that MW3 smelt, the way that MW3 felt while playing it, and like the gunplay, and especially the sniping in that game, like I would put that sniping higher than MW2 personally, just the way that it like felt and the way that it sounded, and just the way that the game looked. Like there was something about it, and the way that it felt when it came out, like there was something in the air when that game came out. Life just felt so much different. Again, I don't know if it's like the feeling of being a kid at the time, but just I don't know, MW3 was an insane game. I loved playing it so much. I would always go between that and Black Ops 1 and then Black Ops 2 when that came out. Like these were truly the golden years of Call of Duty. I don't know if we're ever going to get anything like that again. I mean, I'm excited for the new MW3, and I'm excited to see how it holds up with everything, but I don't know, like these were truly the best years to be alive for gaming and Call of Duty. And also, not to mention just how fun the Spec Ops was for this game, like not even doing just the random Spec Ops missions, but just the survival, like the zombies basically, but with just like normal soldiers who were fighting back and everything, and like the buying system and stuff like that. Like it was a super fun mode to counterpart zombies, and I wish it was something that Infinity Ward kind of stuck with and kept on doing, or at least like, I don't know. I'm glad that they made zombies, honestly, too, in their later games with, like, Infinite Warfare, but I don't know, something about Spec Ops on MW3, Spec Ops Survival, that was some of the funnest stuff. I also remember this game a lot for its glitches, like, just, there was, like, the Riot Shield, the throwing knife lunge glitch, where it would just, like, send you outside of the map, and the one with like turning the health all the way up with the shotguns to send you flying out of the map. Like me and my one buddy, the same buddy that I would ask for hacks with on Call of Duty MW2, we would play this game and just like get outside of every single map just to explore it, see what was going on. Like it felt like I don't even know, like it felt illegal to do at the time. Like you felt like a badass for being able to do that, and like just being able to unexplore territory that I don't know that. It was like almost like liminal spaces at the same time too, because it's just like unfinished parts of a video game that you were never supposed to go to. Like it's crazy. Coming up next, we have the classic Black Ops 2, and I'm sure you already know this is a god tier Call of Duty. I wouldn't put it above Black Ops 1 personally, but you know it's definitely up there. It's definitely a god tier COD nonetheless. Like it's kind of hard to rank. It's like one of those things where like some days it's like maybe it's the best COD, and then you're like other days where it's like maybe this is the best COD. But like Black Ops 2 is definitely always in the conversation. Like we're almost to the point in reality where Black Ops 2 takes place, and that's kind of crazy. We're almost to the year 2025. I'm kind of hoping for a Black Ops 2 remaster in that time period. I don't know if that's kind of wishful thinking, but like it's crazy to think about like the way the entire 2025 vibe that they created, and like life is like nothing like that. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe some things are a little more I don't know, common than you think when it comes to life and Black Ops 2 Crossing. But Black Ops 2 was an insane game with the campaign, multiplayer, and zombies. It was hitting on all fronts. Even though zombies was kind of ass, like during Black Ops 2's peak. Well, maybe not during the peak, but always during the start of the game with like transit. But like once DLC started rolling out, it was fire. And then they started making the remake maps from like Black Ops 1 with like Stadium and whatnot. I forget all the maps they remade, but I remember they remade Stadium, and that was a fire map, and like that was just a fire game with all the guns like sniping and everything. And I remember the submachine guns and the ARs, and like it was just such a good game. And it was another COD game where like pub stomping was just so fun, and it also had league play. And this is the game where I discovered like there even being a league. This is where I discovered esports in general, was Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I was like, bro, people play this game for money. People play this game and like try hard and like try to win tournaments and shit. And then like that was another thing that kind of ignited my entire passion for the game and drove me to get better at the game. And it's something that still drives me to play the game all the time and get better at it. So Black Ops 2 has a lot of respect from me in my heart. Like I love the game so much. I love Call of Duty as a franchise so much, but Black Ops 2 was definitely a different time. Coming up next on our list, we have Call of Duty Ghosts. Call of Duty Ghosts at the time for me was like the worst game ever created, and I hated it with a passion, and I didn't like it at all. Like I'll put it in the A tier nowadays, but like I could also switch it between like high B, low A. But like at the time, I did not like this game whatsoever. Like I got to like level 30, and then I just went back to playing Black Ops 2 and whatnot. Like COD Ghosts, like looking back at it now from a competitive standpoint at least, was honestly a very fire game, but like other than that, there's like nothing to it that intrigues me. But like I said, looking back at it now with like the way that the Call of Duty League was at the time, like just that alone is enough to make it a good game for me. I know a lot of other people would probably rank this game either a lot lower or a lot higher, but for me, I can put it in the mid ground. I feel like it doesn't deserve too much hate, but it also doesn't deserve too much praise. It's a solid game at the end of the day, but I don't know. Like at the time, and when it comes to like just how I feel about it compared to other games, it's not the greatest title in the world. Coming up next, we have Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare is a game that I'd probably rank a lot higher than others. I wouldn't put it in the S tier per se, maybe. I mean, it's honestly a super good game in my opinion. Like it's actually my second most played game according to my PlayStation stats with hours played. It's my second most played game compared to Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 is my most played game. I don't know what it's like for Black Ops 1 and 2. I don't know when they started counting hours for it, but I'm pretty sure you can't see the hours for it, but it's my second most played game according to PlayStation. Well, like second most played COD at least. But Advanced Warfare is a very fun game for me. It was fun watching competitively. Like Zombies wasn't even terrible. I mean, it was terrible at the time, but comparing it nowadays to World War II, it's not that bad. The multiplayer was super fun. Like I said, the campaign was honestly super fun too. I'd rank the campaign pretty highly compared to other ones. Honestly, one of my favorites of all time. I was able to play Advanced Warfare all day, every day, and just be a sweat at it and have so much fun. It's one of the only games where I was able to get a nuke. Well, I mean, in that game it was a DNA bomb, but I don't know. It was a fun game. It was super fun to play. It's nothing crazy though at the same time, but there is still something about it where it was just super fun to play for me. Now, coming up next, the COD that we have is Call of Duty Black Ops 3. This game is almost 10 years old now, and it still holds up for me. This is another COD that goes into the God tier category, and you know, that kind of marks the first 3 Black Ops games as my top 3 CODs. And I mean, like, you know, maybe that list might switch up. I mean, like, it's subject to change somewhat from a day-to-day basis. You know, some of these are really like how do I feel on this day type of vibes, but you know, for today I'm thinking top 3 CODs: Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 would be higher if it had like an actually good campaign, but for what it had in multiplayer and especially zombies, this Call of Duty is God tier status. This game was also like one of the only COD games to ever do supply drops right. I guess kind of until they started adding a lot of weapons, and then it kind of became pay to win in that sort of sense. But it wasn't like Advanced Warfare pay to win, kind of. But like, I mean, yeah, especially when you get into the later years of BO3's life cycle. I mean, it kind of still has a life cycle just because of custom zombies, but like this game's like main life cycle, like towards the end of it, there were a lot of DLC weapons that were kind of pay to win, and I think it was like a whole thing with like if you bought supply drops, then you were able to actually have a higher percentage at getting those weapons and everything. Like it was kind of just like it was a whole slew of things going on, but at the same time, it didn't take away from how fun the game was. This Call of Duty is my most played Call of Duty according to PS4's hours played counter. So there's that. But yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, top 3 COD at least. If anyone tells you differently, they are smoking dick. And coming up next for our list of Call of Duty games, we have Call of Duty World War II. And I mean, like, for being someone that enjoys the Sledgehammer games, I'd say at least a fairly decent amount. I did not enjoy COD World War II that much. I'd put it maybe at the lowest end of B tier, but like, you know, I'm gonna just put it in C tier, maybe the top of C tier. Like, it's really not that good of a game. The campaign was pretty cool. I enjoyed playing the campaign. The multiplayer was kind of decent as well. Like, I wouldn't say I loved playing World War II. I wouldn't say I was loading that game up with a smile on my face or anything. But like at the end of the day, it was like a somewhat decent Call of Duty. I mean, zombies wasn't all that good. I mean, they tried to do something new. I mean, you got to tip your hat to them in that sense. But like, it wasn't a good game. I mean, I hate to say it was a good game because I wouldn't say that there's any like trash Call of Duties, like awful games. Like, well, maybe I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say World War II is the worst Call of Duty. I'll just put it that way. So I don't know. It was very mid to bad. It just didn't have a lot going for it. It just like felt weird to play in my opinion. I like the sniping on the game, but like I wasn't a fan of just like red gunning. It did have a good ranked play at it, but at the same time I didn't even know it had a ranked play at the time when the game was at its peak, if you'd even call it necessarily a peak. But yeah, I don't know. It was decent. It was decent. I'll give it that. It was decent. It had like the headquarters thing and everything for multiplayer. Like it had some good things going for it in all honesty, but like it's a game that I'm never going to download and replay. The next game that we have on our list is an immediate S tier for me. It's Call of Duty Black Ops 4. This game was kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of weird. It's literally a multiplayer only game. Like, you know, there's no campaign. It was just Blackout. I mean, Blackout was kind of cool. I'd kind of play Blackout over Warzone. I don't know. It's hard to say. If Blackout had the same like looting system as Warzone, then yeah, I'd play Blackout all day. Cause I just love the classic Call of Duty engine feel, and to me, Black Ops 4 was probably the last great Call of Duty that we had, unless maybe you could say the same thing about Cold War in a sense, because Cold War to me was like a mix of Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 2, but at the end of the day, to me, Black Ops 4 was like, it was kind of perfect when it comes to the sense of like multiplayer specialist. Like if you're gonna have specialists in the game, Black Ops 4 was my favorite. I would take it over Black Ops 3 in that sense. So there's that, but then there's like the zombies, which I wasn't the biggest fan of the zombies at the time. I mean, like playing it these days, I can get behind it. I can play some of the maps and enjoy it. Like I can't play Blood of the Dead and have a good time. But like with some of the other maps like 9 or Ancient Evil, I can play those and have fun. It's not an awful game. It's a game that I sunk a lot of hours into, and I was pretty passionate about. Like, it's one of the games I ranked the highest, and I got Dark Matter like within the first week of playing it. Like, I was a grinder on that game. I would just sit there and play hardcore all day. Like, it was kind of gross. I was sweating so much. So, I don't know. Black Ops 4 was a fun game. The league play was kind of shitty. There, like, wasn't an actual ranked. It wasn't, like, World War II. So, there's that to take into account as well. But it doesn't mean the game's bad. And the league at the time was fun to watch. It was entertaining. You know, it was an entertaining game. But it's definitely not the best Call of Duty. The next COD that we have on our list is kind of an iffy one for me because like it's Infinite Warfare. So it's kind of hard for me to like say whether I'd put it above or below COD Ghosts. Um, Honestly, it's like it's like the lowest of A or maybe like high B for me. Um, just because like the league was kind of at a high at that point. I mean, like I'm an Optic fan when it comes to that, so it was fun seeing them win champs, especially with the roster they had at the time. At the time of the game being out, though, I wasn't a fan. I liked the zombies a lot more than I did the multiplayer in the campaign. But the multiplayer was pretty decent. It's definitely like my least favorite jetpack COD. Like I don't have a lot to say on the game other than that. It's pretty solid. It's pretty decent, but again, it's nothing special. Like honestly, I could just move it down to B and like be satisfied. Like it really depends on how I feel. I kind of just now realized I kind of messed up the order. I put Black Ops 4 and then Infinite Warfare, when it should have been the other way around. But regardless, next up we have Modern Warfare 2019 along with Warzone. I don't know why they're split up. I could put Warzone in S tier, but like I don't know. Like at the same time, I don't want to. Like Modern Warfare by itself is a pretty low tier COD for me. It was pretty decent. Like I wouldn't say it was trash, but like it's honestly probably my least favorite Call of Duty. Um, well, I don't know. It's not as bad as World War II. I'll give it that, but like it's just not a good Call of Duty. You know, Dead Silence is a field upgrade. No red dots on the minimap. The time to kill is just so fast. Like I don't know, it's just not a game for me per se. But Warzone was fun, especially in the peak of like COVID and everything. Like it was the game to play, and they got a lot of YouTube traction. I know it's a super popular game amongst like just casual players and like just Call of Duty players in general. So like I don't know, I don't get it, but I don't know. It's everyone else's bread and butter, you know. Coming up next, we have Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and that's honestly another S tier Call of Duty for me. I guess you can call me a Treyarch fanboy at this point. I mean, I could also put it in A tier as well. It's like bottom of the S tier, top of the A tier type of vibe for me. I was just able to play so much Cold War multiplayer. Like, it's not even the campaign and the zombies, literally just the multiplayer. Like, I could play literally just ranked play all day, and there like wasn't even a ranked in that. I was just able to play it that much, and honestly, that was like one of the last CODs that I was able to have fun in pub stomping in. I mean, other than MW3 so far, like the beta for MW3, those pub stomps were so much fun. I mean, pubs are the only thing that you could play on it, but like just pub stomping on this game on Black Ops Cold War was a lot of fun to me. I mean, I didn't really like that it was like participation streaks and stuff like that. Like it was kind of still a cheese game. Like it, that's why I wouldn't say it was necessarily the last great Call of Duty that we had, but it was like the last like classic solid Call of Duty that we had. So I mean, like, yeah, for that, I guess it's kind of deserves more of like a top of the A tier type of placement rather than an S. But because yeah, it's not really in the same conversation as MW2 2009, So yeah, it was a good Call of Duty. I don't have really anything super negative to say about it other than like maybe the zombies like being a little too easy or just a little lackluster, maybe expecting a bit more out of it. But it was a pandemic game, so I guess there is that to take into account as well. But like I don't know, it wasn't the greatest game of all time, and it also wasn't the worst game of all time. And last but not least, we have Call of Duty Vanguard. This Call of Duty I'd put in like maybe not necessarily top of the C, maybe like just above Modern Warfare. I feel like Vanguard is like Modern Warfare perfected, maybe aside from like MW3, but like at the time Vanguard was like an improved version of Modern Warfare in my eyes. I enjoyed playing Vanguard. I didn't really like the pubs, I didn't like the combat pacings, but League play on Vanguard carried it for me. If it wasn't for League play on Vanguard, I probably wouldn't have played it like nearly as much, if at all. So it's kind of like a bottom of the barrel Call of Duty. It's not a game that I'm ever going to re-download and play. I only played it because it was the COD that was out at the time. So there's that, and I kind of feel the same way about MW2. MW2 pubs are a little more fun. I'd probably just put Call of Duty MW2 right above Call of Duty Vanguard. So those games kind of lay around the same area for me. But MW3 is looking so good so far. Like I'd already put this game in an S tier just for the way I feel while playing it. So I'm really looking forward to that game. But as you guys can see, that's the list. Yeah, there's no more Call of Duties to talk about other than, I guess, if you wanted to bring up like Call of Duty Zombies on mobile, which is like triple S tier, and then Call of Duty on the PS Vita, which is like, it honestly was a little fun to play that, but like it doesn't it can't compete. So, but yeah, that's the entire tier list. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. What would you put in your S tiers for Call of Duty games? What's your favorite COD games, or what's your favorite one of all time? But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, hit that sub button. I'm gonna try to upload a lot more, especially whenever this new COD comes out. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, it's been Gob. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.